Welcome to this episode of Wanderlust Solo Women Travel-Unscripted. Real women, real stories, real journeys, and no filter. Join Gina, your host, to share the experiences and stories of solo female travelers and advocates from all over the world, with a mission to empower women of all ages, backgrounds, and life stages to embrace solo female travel with confidence and enthusiasm, while being authentic and real, unscripted. Confronting the challenges and apprehensions many women face when considering solo adventures, providing inspiration to break through those barriers. Sharing how life transitions, loss, and trauma can lead to amazing experiences, rediscovery, and life journeys. The good, the bad, and the ugly of authentic and honest travel. So let's throw out the script, get comfy, and jump right into this episode.
Welcome everyone, and thanks for tuning in to Wanderlust Solo Women Travel, the podcast where we spill the travel tea and delve into the wild and wonderful world of solo female travel. And this is my first spot on the show where I'm not interviewing a guest for 2026. So it's exciting to, start a whole new year, and I can't wait for the wonderful women joining us on episodes to come later on in the year. I just wanted to delve into actually an experience I had when I was traveling recently back in December, where I went on a solo trip to Vietnam. It was a fantastic trip. I went by myself, but I did join a tour group once in Vietnam because I've never traveled there before. So just the logistics of getting round, the language, learning everything, the currency, what to do, what not to do. It was just easier to join a group trip. And then I had some free time either side. So overall, the experience was amazing. But what I actually wanted to share is I got sick. Quite often when I travel, I normally get sick when I come home. It's, rule of thumb, I get something because the air conditioning is not my friend. So I usually get sick on my return home, from the flight or something. But this time I was fine going. I was fine when I arrived, and I was actually fine when I came home, but I was actually quite sick halfway through the journey. What it did show me, I've been sick before when traveling. I got sick when I was backpacking in Europe. I was actually in Croatia and in Zagreb, and luckily I didn't have a jam-packed itinerary or anything, so I literally just slept and healed. And I think this is what I want to reflect on from this journey too, is where I was at my sickest. It was luckily we had a few days just in one spot, so I was able just to rest. But what I had to do was stop. I couldn't do all the activities. I had to say, I can't come. And I think it's giving yourself permission to do that, because it's really hard. A lot of us have traveled thousands of miles, even paid lots and lots of money to have these travel experiences, and then not to be able to go and do them. I mean, how frustrating. But when you're really sick, you do push yourself, it seems, I think, more when you're traveling. You're trying to fit anything. You're pushing your boundaries. At home, you probably would have been laid up days ago, taking days off work and, sitting by, wrapped up in a blanket on the couch watching TV. But when you're traveling and, you've got that pressure to show up and to do things, you do push yourself, which can lead to you actually getting more unwell. So it's about giving yourself one space in your itineraries, whether you're traveling in a group, whether you're making up your own itinerary, however you're planning to travel, is building in time to have rest. This is even if you don't get sick. It's really important that we look after our health while we're traveling. And if you don't have enough rest time, you're going to get sick when you come home because you're going to be exhausted for starters. So building in days where you haven't got anything to do. You don't have to have activities booked every single day. I know it feels that way, but having a free day, one, it allows for flexibility and, to fit in something unexpected, but it also allows that rest time. Have a sleep in, get up a bit later. You're on holiday. It doesn't matter. Go to bed early, spend the day in bed in your hotel room, watching movies. It's okay. And I think we really have to give ourselves permission to be able to do that. The other thing too is to make sure we have good, obviously, health care while we're away. I know in the Southeast Asian countries I've traveled to, and Vietnam was no different. The pharmacies are incredible. They are very knowledgeable. They have an array of medications that you can get over the counter. So please reach out to your local pharmacies. Google Translate, or if you can find someone who speaks the local language, if you're not sure, is a great way to articulate what's going on correctly, because you do need to share that information of what it is you're suffering from clearly. And obviously, good medical insurance, travel medical insurance. Read the fine print. I can't stress this enough, you hear stories all the time of people traveling that got travel insurance, but they just haven't read the fine print, and then they're not covered. If you have any pre-medical, health conditions, let your insurer know. Have a chat to them about it, because if you have them and they're documented and then you don't list them, you will not be covered. So that's something to really think about. Staying in contact with friends and family. If you're unwell, this is super important, not just so they can check in on you, to make sure you're okay, but just for your mental well-being, just knowing you're not so isolated. If you're traveling with a group, like I said, I was solo, but I was in a travel group. It was wonderful because we had our group chat. The other people within our group were checking on me, making sure I was okay, so that was really quite comforting. And also, if you're in a hotel or in that situation, maybe if you are unwell, just let the staff know that you're not feeling the best, depending what it is, just so if they need to check on you, especially in the smaller boutique hotels, the staff are usually amazing like that. And pack a really good medical toolkit. Have antibiotics, general antibiotics, anything else that you think you may need, because then that just, if you feel yourself starting to get a little unwell and you can nip it in the bud early, that's another great thing to do. But really giving yourself permission and time to heal is really important. One of the best things sometimes, depending on what the illness is obviously rest. We really need just a good sleep. Sometimes when we're traveling and taking different modes of transport, our sleep patterns are all out. So we're actually not getting the rest that we need. So just gathering, even if it's a couple of days where you just get to rest and sleep. I know that really helped me. I was so looking forward to going to Hoi An. And I managed one day sort of really exploring, thank God. But the rest, the other members of our group were going out and doing cool activities during the day. And I just had to say no. I knew if I pushed myself, and I could have, I would have been worse the next day, and we had still had more to come. And this was the only opportunity I was going to have to really rest. So I had to say no. And it just meant, lying in my hotel room during the day, sleeping in. The worst bit was I lost my appetite, and the food was amazing, and they were going to cool restaurants and doing different things. And I really was gutted that I missed out on that. But just staying hydrated was the main focus, and that's super important too, that you keep your hydration up when you're unwell. But yeah, just my best tip is to build in downtime. One, for your physical health, but also your mental health. It is so important when you're traveling to take care of both those things. So if you've got an itinerary, I always like the first day I arrive and the last day I leave free. And if you've got, depending how long you're traveling for, a couple of days activities, have the third day free. Like I said, it builds in time that if you want to, you see something once you get there, the opportunity to go and do it. Or just that time to have a sleep in that morning, not get up at, the crack of dawn to get on that bus and see whatever it is you've got to see. Or just, read a book. Doesn't have to be anything. Get a massage, just relax and chill out, even if it's by a pool, just some downtime. I love jam-packing my holidays when I go away. I want to see as much as I can, and I only can take, lazing around for a day or two, but I still make sure I pack that in because it's so essential and vital. So that's my tip for you if you're listening today, is build in that downtime and get rid of that guilt. It's okay to have rest while you're traveling. You can be lazy for a day. it's going to be okay. Otherwise, I came home a little bit sick and it's taken a while to get over it, but I'm okay now. But can be an isolating time when you're sick abroad by yourself or traveling anywhere. So just making sure you have, contacts you can get hold of and, hunkering down for 24 hours and looking after yourself can make the world of difference. So we just have to be prepared and do the best and have the best resources available that we can. But I'd love to hear your stories if you've got any. And I can't wait to share some of our next guests coming up, which are going to delve into, the stresses and worries us women have as we're reaching our 50s and how that affects our travels and ways to navigate around that. So I'm really looking forward to hearing those stories and sharing some advice on and tools on how to cope with those situations. So remember to like, comment and subscribe, and it's never too late to unleash your wanderlust.
Thanks for listening. Please share the love by liking, commenting or subscribing, or join us in our Facebook community.